second little segments on TikTok.
Yeah, my son used to use it before it wasn't cool anymore, and now he doesn't use it anymore. So it's not cool anymore.
Twit?
Yeah, all the old people have discovered it. So
Yes.
There's plenty of gamers still on there.
On Twitch? No, I think maybe. I think he moved off gaming and he's more on I don't know. He does Xbox now. He's back on his
is that gaming?
Xbox Live.
Yeah, that's still gaming?
Yeah, but not for Twitch, because Twitch is PC gaming, I think, only, as far as I know.
All right.
Oh,
we are live.
For a minute, I didn't hear anything.
Oh. What?
What?
Huh?
What'd you say?
Excuse me.
When's the wife come back, Warren?
A week from tomorrow, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Is she here?
No, she's in London.
Oh.
Yeah. So
London calling. Who
She's
was
in
that? The Clash?
Yes.
Was it the Clash that did that?
I believe so.
Mm-hmm. That's the Clash.
We say
I've actually been to the
go.
Hippodrome. That place is just weird. At least it was in the 80s.
It was when I was there the first time it was, and then it's not now. It kind of it's not it's like the you know, like the really nice like malls that turn into like kind of like they're not done for, but the stores are kind of like, you know, more like low key and things like that. It's sort of turned like that.
Yeah, where they sell Asian goods of questionable origins.
Yeah, a lot of that, and then like
Yeah.
kind of like shells of some stores that are kind of left over. But you know, the first time I went, it was during the Spice Girls era, and like it was.
You're
crazy.
a Spice Girls fan? Wow.
Am I? No, I was there during the Spice Girls era.
The time I went, it was the very first time I saw a transgender person. Our waitress was like 6'5" with a really, really deep voice and long blonde hair and makeup and the whole thing. And
it was Lola.
Exactly. That's pretty much exactly what it was like.
Lola.
I think it was Lola from the
and you know, and she came over and says, "Do you want a drink?" It's like I may have already had too many.
Did you say I can't understand why you talk like a woman but walk like a man?
No, there was no walking or talking.
Yeah.
And then we go over to Piccadilly Circus, and actually, this is a funny story. It was right around Christmas time.
But yeah.
And myself and the guy that I was on this trip with, Bob, who was almost as tall as I am, but outweighed me by 50 pounds. And so there was this
50 pounds.
There was like this choir that had like this small little riser set up so that they could, you know, stand and they were singing Christmas carols. Well, we'd already closed down not close it down, but went to this pub called Macy's and did their happy hour. So we weren't feeling too much pain.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to Piccadilly Circus and Bob sees this choir singing, and without any hesitation, he just walks right up while they're in the middle of a song, kind of shoulders his way to the top of this riser and kind of like leans over it and takes one edge of the program that this other guy is in. In the meantime, everyone is still singing, but they're like looking at this huge guy as he's walking up the riser, and he just starts singing Christmas carols with him. And every single time they would stop, they'd get done with a song, he would just start screaming at the top of his lungs, "We want jingle bells! We want jingle bells!" And they tried their best to ignore him. And it just didn't work. So finally, after like 2 or 3 songs, the choir director, he was like, "All right, jingle bells for the Yank." And they sang jingle bells. And then Bob came down off the riser. He was happy. He got what he wanted. And then we left. It was just such a weird evening.
That's why the last time I was there, just sign up that says no guys and Bobs. No guy and Bob allowed.
I completely understand.
You know, last time I was in London, 2019, there's still signs all over everywhere.
No
Guy
doubt
and
about
Bob not allowed.
Yes.
And now I understand. I thought it was some sort of a Cockney slang thing,
it. Yeah,
but now I realize
No.
no.
Thinking
Yeah.
it had something to do with like Guy Fawkes or something. It's like, nope,
no.
guilty.
And Bob Fox.
Yeah, we actually
no.
rented the very first time I went to London, we rented a myself and this other guy named Jeff. It was Guy and Jeff this time.
This Jeff.
We rented a Ford Escort.
Jeff.
This was a 1985 Ford Escort,
Escort.
convertible Ford Escort.
That was my
And
first car. My
it
first
was
car
the
was an 84.
most fun car to drive. And it wasn't because it was an Escort. It was the convertible part, because I'd never seen one like that in the States. So
No.
we're driving around the streets of London, just blasting James Brown on this crappy little sound system.
I feel good.
Yeah, I feel good.
So what I'm picturing is the little Ford Escort. You're zipping around, the top's down,
Mhm.
and
Alongside
the
the
top
road.
of the windshield is right about here on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like with I can't remember the actor's name. He played Jerry Reed's driver in Gator, where he had his head sticking out the top of the moonroof in a
Mhm.
Lincoln Continental. So he's all you can see is the car is driving down the road is this guy's head sticking up through the moonroof as he's driving it.
So I bought a real fast. I bought a car when I lived there the first time. It was a Ford. By the way, Fords over there are way different than here. They're,
Much
Right.
better.
but anyway, so I rented one, and on the way home from driving it back from the dealership, I made a turn, somewhere, and everybody on this like little street in London or wherever it was started going like this to me, and I'm like, what?
And
Like-
you're like waving back.
I'm like,
Yeah. One-way road.
you're going the wrong way. Yeah, on the wrong way. So yeah,
Yeah.
it took a
Well,
while for me to figure it out.
My wife and I actually, we had our honeymoon. We instead of going to like Jamaica or Bermuda or something like that, we go to London for our honeymoon.
Mhm.
And we had rented a car, and we came up to this T junction with a light, and there was like just this wall of signs. Some said you have to do this, and others said you can't do that. And it's like, I don't understand. There's like 20 signs here, and they're giving me like contradictory information.
Mhm.
And finally, well, the hell with this. I put my right-hand turn signal on, which is the equivalent of making a left here. And the car behind me starts flashing his headlights. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy's problem? Well, I go ahead, the light turns green. I make my left. Immediately, blue lights light up behind me. It was a cop. So he pulls me over, and he's like, "Excuse me, sir. Can I see your license?" And so I give him all my stuff, and he kind of looks at me, says, "Oh, you're a Yank." And I was like, "Yes, sir." He says, Didn't you see the sign that said no right-hand turn? I said, "Sir, I saw about 20 signs. I had no idea what the hell half of them meant." And he was like, "Right." Gave me back all my stuff. Says, "Pay attention to the signs," and he just let me go. He's like, "Pay attention to the signs. Have a nice night." And it's like, "Thank you, sir."
I still can't do the
Right.
M1 roundabout. I've done it about
Sometime-
400 times. So
All right.
yeah.
Let's go.
Sometime
let's go and
remind
get
me. I'll tell you my Israeli driving story, which is really, really funny.
started. All right. You guys ready? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We got episode 196.
Whoop, coming up on 200.
And getting close.
Coming up on
Yeah.
197. Wow.
197. Woohoo. All right.
Milestone.
Let's get through 196 first and see how it goes.
All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode 196 of In Touch with iOS. That's In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, and Apple TV and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host Warren Sklar is here. How you doing, Warren?
Easy for you to say. I'm good.
Yeah. Fun time.
Yeah. No, it's a 2 podcasts in 1 week. The wife is still.
Well-
she doesn't get back until a week from tomorrow, so you should see me.
More
next
podcasting
week.
for you.
Yeah, more pod. It literally it's just I'm home alone with the dog. It's just nice to talk to humans. So there you go.
I'm
So this
not
is
even
really
gonna
therapy.
do this.
Yeah.
It's nice to talk to
I
as
mean-
close to humans as possible, and this is as close as I'm gonna get. So
Not even
Yeah.
going there, but Jeff Gammett's back on the show. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, and it's awesome to be here with you. And Warren, I'm glad we can be part of your support team.
Yes, we've given some emotional support, I think.
Definitely need these tires.
And that voice back on the show is Guy Searle. How you doing, Guy?
Hey, Dave. Nice to be here. And hi, everybody. Hi, Uncle Nick.
Hey, Uncle Nick.
Well, glad you're all here this week. Got plenty of stories this week. It's been a pretty active week in the Apple world. We're going to talk a little bit about how the iPhone SE is. It's been out for a while and how it's been doing since its release. Some iOS 15.4. Got some CarPlay stuff I'm going to talk about this week, as well as some other stuff. But there's also kinds of things to talk about this week. So let's dive right in. And Apple had a bit of a problem this week. Apple Music, the App Store, other Apple services were experiencing outages again. It happened twice this week as we record. Apple services appear to be back online, but there was 2 outages in 1 week, and the system status page did display outages across the board. I even got the notification that my private relay was shut off and said that it'll turn back on when it's ready. So very, very strange, and there really Apple really never gave any explanation other than maybe they had some server issues. I'm not sure. Did you hear anything that I missed?
I didn't hear anything that you've missed, but considering the number of US-based companies that offer some sort of online service that were having the same problems, yeah, I don't want to say it's aliens, but no, I don't want to say that it's cyber warfare happening, but you gotta kind of wonder.
Yeah, especially with what's going on in Ukraine right now.
Computers be computers. Things happen.
Lots of coincidences, though.
Nah,
just seems
all
just
at the
seems
same
like
time.
But it was a sporadic outage. I mean, I didn't really notice too much troubles. Yeah,
it was a pain in the butt for me. But that's because iCloud. I was actually trying to do things that rely on Apple services.
That's the problem. Don't do that.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
There was a joke I saw. Somebody was going, man, those people that use Apple Maps, both of them, they must have had a real problem.
Yeah, right.
Well, glad the services are back. There hasn't been anything since. So, next story: AirTag stalking controversy leads to Tile to add its own anti-stalking feature. That's interesting. The AirTag stalking controversy, which forced Apple to, of course, to beef up protections offered against misuse of the tracking device, has led Tile to follow Apple's example. Tile has announced a scan and secure feature, which allows anyone to check for the presence of its own trackers, though in a clunkier fashion than Apple's safeguards. And we know the background. We've talked about this before. The whole thing with the AirTags were being placed in inconspicuous places like women's purses and cars and such. And people were able to track it. And Apple did react to this. But Tile's response finally. I mean, and I know Jeff, you've been a Tile user for a while. What did you think of this? This is something that it was a long time coming.
It was a long time coming, and I cannot say good for you, Tile, for finally doing the right thing, because they had no intention of ever doing the right thing, except that someone finally realized, I'm assuming, that with all the focus on Apple and AirTags, that eventually enough people were going to be doing like I was doing and calling out Tile, that it was going to be a problem for them. So
I think it's more of a flex. I think it's more they weren't going to do it at all, and they're only doing it now because Apple's getting all this media coverage about like how strong their network is, and nobody cares about Tile because nobody's going to find Tile. Hey, why don't we do the same thing? This way, people would think our Tiles actually.
Yeah, except you when that's like your one and only product, I don't think you want to call out flaws with your one and only product. And as I recall, this particular, basically the way it works is you have to go to their app to check it instead of what Apple does, which is basically alert you through notifications that
unless you use Android.
Okay, well,
That's only
most
if you use
people that
iOS.
most people
I
that
thought about
use
this too. Right. So
Yeah.
if you use Android, it's right. You have to download something, I think, for it to notify you that you're being tracked. I believe because it's
for
not
AirTags, right?
for AirTags. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then I thought about it even more, and I thought, well, if everybody in the car had Androids, the AirTag doesn't work anyways because you need the iPhone's network to find it. So,
well, there'll be other people around that are on the same network.
Well, I thought Android is supposed to have you may have to install the app in order to be able to track
Right,
a
but-
rogue.
but you need an
Device.
iPhone, you need an Apple device for the Find My network to work.
Oh, right, of course.
So if I put an AirTag, so like my in-laws are all Android users, and if I stuck an AirTag in their car or their house, it's useless because they don't have anything Apple.
Hmm.
Right?
Well, that's good. It's good news, I guess, for Tile, but I had not used Tile for quite a while, and I think most of us who are listening here probably use AirTag. So a little late to the game, Tile. We'll see how that goes.
A little late.
Yeah, just
Freaking years late.
Years late. Yeah, very years late. So, next story: Apple stores can now update the firmware on second generation AirPods. Late 2021, Apple stores and Apple authorized service providers gained access to a new firmware updater diagnostics tool for updating a customer's AirPods Pro to the latest version when necessary. Mac Rumors got an internal memo that Apple's announced that the tool is now capable of updating the firmware of the second generation AirPods as well. Both the AirPods Pro and the second gen AirPods are now listed as supported models, but not the third generation AirPods, at least not yet, or the AirPods Max. The tool allows the technician to access Apple's service toolkit 2 to install the latest firmware and a customer's AirPods in certain scenarios, such as if a customer's left or right AirPod fails to update or the customer is using a non-iOS companion device. Well, good to see, I guess. Not a big earth-shattering story here for this, but we got the firmware eventually gets updated. We don't really just have any control of it.
Well, why is it that they can easily do it with the watch, but not the AirPods through the phone?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because most of the time, just like your watch is tied to your phone, well, most of the time your AirPods are also tied to your phone. So why not just do the same kind of update?
Because the watch has a screen, you can kind of see what's going on, where the AirPods doesn't.
Yeah, but you still have to initiate. You have to initiate the update through your phone.
Right.
So
the HomePods don't have a screen. Hang on.
That's true. Did you see? You didn't listen to the article, but did you see with the latest iOS and watchOS, you could supposedly, and I'm not brave enough to try it, but if you brick your Apple Watch, supposedly it will come up with the watch will come up with an icon and it will try to restore itself now.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, I think. They added the restore. Yeah, they had the restore feature that they added right from.
Imagine the guy working at Apple that they just hand him a whole box of like bricked watches and say, "Okay, come up with some way that we can make these not bricked again."
That's how
they used to have to
balance. I told you once I bricked up one, and they're like, "We have to send it back to Apple," and they have to crack open the glass and do something, and then reseal the glass. That was a process up until this point.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's a guy in a big long coat going, "It's alive! It's alive!"
Well, first off, thinking that's an okay system for dealing with a failed beta software update on a watch. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's completely unacceptable. And apparently, I'm just going to bag on everyone tonight. Why do you have to have a tool, a software tool that's available only to developers or to Apple support people to update firmware on AirPods? Why is that just not an option on your iPhone and your Mac?
Exactly.
But there's a trick. I mean, you can do it like, right. They tell you the tricks like,
it shouldn't be a trick.
It should be a trick.
The tricks never work, right? It says you do a dance, you put them in the case, you take them out of the case, you make the top flip up and down a few times.
Yeah, A, B, left, right.
Yeah.
And then you shake them all around.
you make the AirPod case talk like, "Give me firmware update." And
like
just gonna
Morse
just
code.
gonna-
I want firmware.
I knew that was coming. I didn't have my AirPods to do it with, but to be honest with you, I've never got a firmware.
Everybody's opening their
firmware.
AirPods cases for those of you listening here.
Yeah, and screwing up their continuity with it. Because but real fast is I've never gotten an AirPod update that I even ever noticed or cared about, to be honest with you.
No, it's always in the background.
Yeah, but
unlike
it's never
HomePod.
done anything. It never did anything that I actually noticed that it did ever. Almost like the almost like the Apple TV.
All right, let's move on to the next story here.
Jeff is
Rumor. This is a rumor. Kuo is saying that Apple Watch Series 3 may finally be discontinued upon its 5th anniversary in Q3 of 2022. Apple may be finally discontinuing the Apple Watch Series 3 when it reaches 5 years of age in the third quarter of 2022. And according to reputable analyst Ming-Chu Kuo, I think that's how you say it.
Ming-Chi Kuo.
Kuo, that's it. Kuo,
Rumors.
yeah, it's rumors. In a tweet, he says the Apple Watch Series 3 may reach its end of life because the computer power isn't able to meet its requirements. I seem to remember that people have a bit of a struggle anytime they want to do an update, that they got to wipe the watch completely and then reinstall it from scratch because there isn't enough space on the darn thing with the latest OS.
Should have happened 3 years ago.
Yeah, let me check that. Let me check that on my my iPad version 2.
I would say this rumor eventually has to come true, but it's I say that I've been saying that for 3 years now because
Tim Cook Jr. says Watch 3 still available.
It doesn't actually even make sense why they're doing it. Like why first the difference between a Watch 3 and the 4,
yes,
I think was a big difference, right? If I remember right, the shape changed at that point.
Yeah, it was.
And I mean, it's as you said, you're so much better just getting the SE, anyways, right? I think
I'd say the SE is the better deal, and it's not terribly much more expensive. So, what do you think, Jeff?
Well, I'm just going to keep bagging. So first, why does everyone think Ming-Chi Kuo is some sort of soothsayer wizard? He gets so much wrong.
So much press. He gets so much press.
He gets so much
like Mark Gurman.
Yeah, I could come up with this rumor too.
You could.
Eventually,
nobody holds any of these analysts' feet to the fire.
Eventually, the Apple Watch 6 will be discontinued too, and probably the 7.
What? No,
you heard it here first. Warren has the inside scoop.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he does.
Seriously, why is the Apple Watch 3 still available at all? And
just
Warren, you
don't
nailed it. It should have been gone years ago.
I'm surprised every year.
2 years, 3 tops. So see what happens.
They must have like it must be a supply. I mean, honestly, they must have like a surplus of it somewhere because I can't imagine they're like.
We can't get rid of the damn things.
You think they're making more of them? Like
I think they're making more.
Yeah.
The cost for Apple to make an Apple Watch 3 is so low now because they have recouped all the expenses that they incurred developing the model. So it's a super cheap product for them to make. And apparently enough people have been buying them that it's been worth it to continue making them. But then that's doing a disservice to Apple customers that are buying this because they're buying an outdated, hobbled product at this point.
Right. And it's
soon to be in boxes of Cracker Jack.
I don't even see it on to buy it though. Wait. Yeah, there it is.
Well, let's go.
It starts at 199 is what it starts at, which is crazy.
And a slap in the face.
And a slap at the face.
And you're crazy to buy it. Next story. Some iPad Air 5 users are complaining about creaking and build quality downgrade. Some 5th generation iPad Air users are complaining about a purported downgrade in build quality. According to some sources on social media, complaints are claimed that the iPad Air has noticeably thinner aluminum enclosure, resulting in creaking, a hollow sensation in the hand, and light pressure on the back of the device, warping the display. You're seeing a lot of posts like this
with every single iPad Apple has ever made.
Yeah, exactly.
Squeeze it, and you can get the display to distort.
Yeah, come on, Jeff.
I mean,
You're ragging on everything so far. Let's continue this on. Let's go.
All right, I'll continue it on. Please.
No, I mean,
people.
this is crazy. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. I don't think there's any problem with the iPad Air 5. And there are enough of these produced that you are going to get a few that get out in the wild that have a build quality problem. And that's going to be the exception, not the rule. And if you really want to have a tablet device to complain about, go ahead and buy an Amazon Fire with its plastic body.
They actually catch fire too. No.
Yeah, mine hasn't yet,
No.
but I never set it on stuff like stacks of paper because,
Well,
why risk it?
it's called Kindle.
Yeah, it has Kindle and Fire right in the name.
Exactly.
You should be able to understand what it is you're buying.
Didn't one of the
the
iPads
irony.
have? Didn't one of the iPads have a bending? It was Bendgate.
Yeah, I remember they were doing bending on it, and someone would actually bend it, and oh look, it's bent. Well, of course it's going to be bending if you force bend it.
Well, actually, some people said out of the box they put it right on the table, and if you put it right on the table out of the box, you can kind of see space underneath.
Yeah,
I don't remember, but
people are going to find flaws no matter what you do. So let's go ahead and move on to the next story here. Apple officially launches digital IDs in Arizona. More states coming soon. After first announcing digital IDs support in iOS 15 last year, the first state has gone live with the feature. Arizona residents can officially add their driver's license or state ID to the wallet app on the iPhone and Apple Watch. And Apple is thrilled with the fact that the Arizona is the first state to be able to do this. And 30 states have been exploring the option. So I'm going to venture to think that it's going to be years before they can get almost every state in the United States on board with this. Jeff, what do you think? This has been always this. We've been talking about this since iOS 15 came out, and it just continues to baffle me why this isn't happening. It's not that big of a deal, but some people may not like it, and that's great. Then don't use it.
Yeah, then don't use it. The big problem here is not Apple; it's the states.
The states. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's frustrating because each state does its own thing. And like here in Colorado, they poured, I don't know how much money, but an ungodly sum of money into some company that made the crappiest like Electron app or something like that for the state mobile ID app. And it's garbage. I mean, it just sucks ass. It's that bad. And so in Colorado, I mean, they're not going to turn around and then adopt Apple's digital ID thing because there's already been so much money invested in this boondoggle version that no one is going to feel good about switching over right away. So yeah, this is going to be a very slow process, and it's going to be this hodgepodge thing. And don't forget, just because a state says we're adopting it, does not mean that every jurisdiction within the state will be able to use it.
Yep, right.
I'm sure it'll happen right after Kazakhstan has it.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, the smaller countries could do it better. Like my son lived in Dublin, and during COVID, they actually have their everything on digital because it's small and they could do it.
Which is what they should have done in the beginning.
Right here. But the problem, even with driver's license here, is we're big. We got states, and honestly, technology doesn't. This kind of technology might not last as long as it takes for this to be implemented everywhere. So, I mean, we're talking. For all the states to get them on board, we're talking years and years and years, right? And you're taking a gamble of whether iPhones or Android is going to be around, because who knows? I mean, we think they will in 20 years, but you never know. Whether it changes to something different. It's in states that want to invest money on something that may not last forever, and paper lasts forever. Sort of.
Yep.
Sort
All
of.
right. Let's move on. Next story, UK Apple Card could maybe be on its way as Apple buys British credit checking company. Brits have been wondering when they might see a UK Apple Card. I know many of our friends have been complaining for a few years that they don't have the option like we do in the United States. This was, of course, launched in the US back in 2019. New report today suggests that the company may now be preparing the ground. Apple has acquired a UK startup company which takes a new approach to assessing the credit worthiness of financial applications. Credit ITWIOS, which is a UK open bank startup that helps lenders make better decisions, has been acquired by Apple. And there's no details of the deal, but this is an interesting thing to see. And I think like our friend Patrice is probably going to be very happy with this. I know she'll say something about this, but I hope it happens for them. And Gazwell as well. Yeah. What do you think, Guy?
Yeah, it should have happened long ago. Of course, like with digital rights management of content, every country has their own way of doing things. And if the way Apple wants to do it isn't in line with the established banks and all the rest of that, then you're going to get pushback. And that's basically what's happened in the UK. The banks there are watching what happened here in the States and in Australia and some of the other places that have adapted the Apple Card. And they're like, that's money out of our pocket, even though it really isn't. But it just takes time for these banks to kind of get in line. And usually when one does it, all of a sudden they all have to do it.
What do you think, Jeff?
I think people are being premature thinking that this purchase means that. See, I'm still bagging on everything.
No, I probably would agree with you.
I agree with you. I don't.
Yeah,
there's a few things going on with this, and I'll say it after you. But go ahead.
Okay, so then that'll make my part short because Warren, I really want to hear what you have to say about this. So, buying a company that does credit checks is not the same thing as making a credit card available. This is about Apple doing, like I said, you have to have a bank deal. And so Apple needs to have a partner, like they have Goldman Sachs here in the United States.
Right.
They need to have that card management issuing company in every country. So doing something like this, sure, this can streamline certain things that Apple does, but it's not necessarily tied directly to the credit card. And it may actually be, and Warren, I hope I'm not stealing something you're about to say. Probably. It may actually be related more to this rumor that Apple is going to start offering subscription to hardware.
Well, hold that thought because we are going to talk about that. So
okay,
but that's a good point there. What do you think, Warren?
What Jeff said mostly, what I agree with, but Goldman Sachs, Apple didn't buy Goldman Sachs, and they partner with them.
They're a partner,
and I would even say they're probably even like a minority partner with them on this one. I'm sure. Like,
I'm sure you're right.
I'm sure they, it's not like it's the Apple card. It's Goldman Sachs card with an Apple logo on it for the most part. With even when you go to Apple support, it kind of routes to them, to Goldman Sachs anyways. So,
right.
So, I mean, the UK has banks. They have Barclays, they have Lloyds and all that good stuff. And, to be honest with you, I think America's credit cards, from what I remember, does more of this kind of like rewards and cash back and things like that, because I don't really UK doesn't really do that as much. Of course, they also don't have like the same kind of interest rates we do there, and there's a bunch of differences between the credit cards here and there. But yeah, I know if you live in the UK and you want to buy something on a credit card, you could do it right now when you don't need the Apple card to do it. So.
Right. All right. Well, see what happens. Next story. This is interesting. Twitter for iOS now lets you easily create GIFs or GIFs using your iPhone camera. Twitter announced it's launching a new way for users to post their own GIFs by creating them within the in-app camera on iOS devices. According to a Twitter support account, more than just sharing GIFs. The iPhone can now create their own animated images with the app. Following these simple steps, you go in and select the camera icon and go into creating a new tweet, and then you share it with your followers. That's kind of cool. See that Twitter is actually going to go through and add. They seem like they're adding more features to the iOS app. What do you think, Warren?
I don't tweet, so
Yeah, I
Warren's
think
above that.
this is
Mhm.
more
He
along
is.
the lines of trying to recapture some of the market share that they've lost because of TikTok.
yeah, I don't know. I check Twitter once in a while, but so I wouldn't even know about. I wonder if you could create a GIF using your camera and use it elsewhere, because that would kind of be neat too. Other than in
I would
TikTok.
think you
Or-
could probably
or
could
Twitter.
save the file. So, do you have thoughts, Jeff?
Meh.
Nah. Okay.
We already have Jiffy and several
Skippy.
other services, and yeah. So okay, that's great. Whatever.
Good way to move. That's good to move on here. This story is about the TSA traveling in the airports. TSA is now going to allow some passengers to use their iPhone to get through security. This option is currently available for pre-check flyers at the Phoenix airport, but they're planning for rapid expansion in other states in the United States. Going through airport security is about to get a little more streamlined thanks to a new partnership between Apple and the TSA. On Wednesday, as we record this week, two organizations rolled out technology that allows some flyers to upload their state-issued ID to their Apple Wallet app. So that's why it's at the Phoenix airport, because we
Arizona,
talked about
yeah.
this. And so not only are you going to get your ID in here, you're going to have your TSA pre-check as part of your wallet as well. So this is
But
this could accelerate things, but
So,
there
I
already.
mean, just to make things clear, this isn't like walking through a line and beating on people with your
No.
phone until you get past them.
No, but I
Just-
don't understand, because you could do this now
Oh.
anyways. You could, I do this now at security as it is. You still need your driver's license or an ID, but other than that,
right.
you take your phone or your watch and you put it on their little pad, and it works with the wallet app and the ticketing your app. So what's
Yeah, I can't see how it's going to make that much of a difference.
what's going to be different? Just the fact that you have your
What's
Well, they're
different
saying
is
here-
that you won't have to pull out your physical ID.
right.
Right.
So
You got to
it's
show them a
going to-
ticket, so you're going to
No,
have to
no.
swipe
Well, the
between
ticket's
different
on-
apps.
Well, the ticket's on your phone, so if it's on the same app, and I'll be honest with you too, having to go in and get my wallet sometimes when I'm going through security, when I have everything on my phone and watch, is a pain too.
Well-
it's not, because you got bags and you got things like that. So
Oh, sure. Another caveat that it mentions here in the article, it says to verify their identity, users will also be required to take and upload a selfie as an additional fraud prevention step. User will be also prompted to complete a series of facial and head movements during the setup process on your iPhone before you set it up.
they're doing
the
Gee,
headline
that
for
sounds like
this-
fun.
Well, they're
Yeah.
doing that
Well,
with
for one to-
you're doing global entry now. It does the same thing. Global entry is crazy. I don't know who's done that recently, but if you go through
Yeah.
now with global entry, you don't even have to you walk up to the machine and says, "Hi, Warren," and how do you know? It literally looks at your face and it knows. It's scary.
This, I'm sorry, Warren.
You
I
can't come
can't
back.
do that.
I can't let you
Yeah.
back in America. Go back to where you came from.
I think the headline for that article should actually be TSA allowing Arizona residents to use their iPhone
Yeah.
to get through security at the Phoenix airport, because that's all this is.
It's just Arizona.
It's just
All right.
Arizona.
Let's go ahead and move on here.
Okay,
This
one
story:
more there.
Apple makes an extra $6.57 billion by no longer providing chargers and earphones with new iPhones.
I
Apple
don't
has
think
made
that's accurate.
made an estimated $6.57 billion by no longer providing these devices in the iPhones. It was, of course, according to an analyst. So you got to take it with a grain of salt here. And since 2020, Apple has charged $20 for a new plug or headphones, earphones, and of course, critics are there. That Apple isn't passing on the savings, so they believe that Apple is making big money for this, and I just find this hard to believe. Don't you think, Jeff?
Apple might be making big money from this, but Apple
Saving
also
money.
doesn't tell us what the BOM is for an iPhone. So we don't know what it's actually costing them. It may be that when they pulled the chargers out and the Earpods out, that that allowed them to keep the phones at the
Hold the
same
line.
price they were instead of raising the price. I mean, we don't know.
Well, and to keep their
Yeah.
same margins, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Keep their same
Yeah.
margins. And for people that
Absolutely.
don't know what BOM means, it's
of
bill of
materials.
materials.
And
Yep.
frankly, I mean, how many millions of iPhones do they sell? To sit there and say, well, just because Apple charges $20 for a charger and X amount of dollars for earphones doesn't mean that by not including them, that they're making that amount of money. I mean, the cost of making earbuds is probably could be measured in pennies as compared to what it costs them to just go ahead and include it. I looking at what I've gotten from Apple in the past as far as chargers and earpods and all the rest of that goes, I can't imagine it cost Apple more than $2 for those things. So they're not making $6.5 billion extra by not including them. That's a ridiculous number.
I have like
Yeah.
5 unopened ones. I should sell them.
You should. You could make a lot of money off that based
$6.5
on
billion
six
dollars.
Almost
analysis.
6.5 billion.
That's why. Yeah, they
billion.
didn't give you
Billion.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the topics this week. Beta this week. What's
No
beta?
beta.
There is no beta.
the.
I said,
Yes,
I put in the
we
notes here,
have
Warren
no
is really
beta.
going through withdrawal. There is no beta for Mac. There's no beta for iOS. There's no beta for iPad OS or Watch OS. What are you going to do, Warren? No beta.
No beta.
I've never seen them go this long without the next version of beta.
No, but no. Usually would have been on Tuesday. They would have released.
Mhm.
Usually or Wednesday. Usually what they do is they'll release it, and then I get all proud of myself by getting on the release software, and I'm all happy and everything's good. And then they come out with the beta the next day. Like, oh well, that lasted a day. But yeah, no, Tuesday maybe. I don't know. But we'll see.
I'd be surprised they go 2 full weeks without having at least some sort of next
You
version.
beta, you bet.
Yep.
Yep.
If
It's
they
not
go
fun.
much longer, Warren's going to be on shows like, I need a beta fix. I need a beta fix.
The funny thing is,
Hold
my
on,
phone is-
checking.
My phone is
Mhm.
acting crappier than it does as normal. It's actually running worse without the beta. My phone's been so used to having beta on it. It's revolting against it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. And not much else to say about beta, but maybe Warren will have something to talk about next week. You
There's
don't know.
nothing to say about it. Yeah.
Stay tuned next week, maybe. So let's talk about the iPhone SE a bit. We've been talking about it for the last few weeks. It just, it came out this year, a couple of weeks ago. And to date, let's go through the kind of the history of the SE. And I know, Guy, you have the iPhone SE. You have the second
Not
gen.
the third gen. Yeah.
Oh,
my
that's right.
wife
No, you
does.
have your wife does. I'm sorry. Yeah, true. You have
Yeah.
13 now. So the SE came out in 2016, and that was a pretty good phone. That was real small, and for people who
had
like
one,
the small
A
size.
first gen.
I remember you. Yeah, I remember you had that one. And then the second gen was released in 2020. Added 4G, and decent phone, but battery life was not so great. But then they came out with the third gen, which was released in 2022. It's got 5G, which is not a big deal, but it
A15 processor.
yeah, it's got the A15 processor, and it's faster, and it's got the deep vision camera, so it's so that's a good thing as well. So you got some good quality camera for $429. I mean, you don't have to spend the big dough on that as well. So in fact, as far as the first gen SE, I got an article here about 6 years later, the first gen still runs the latest version of iOS. So it's been 6 years since that SE came out, and and they're even saying that it is still running pretty good for the most part, considering
Better than
its
the Apple
age.
Watch 3. Yeah.
And probably the Series 3, yeah. So iOS 15 is running on that phone. I mean, I would probably venture to say when iOS 16 comes I would bet to say this might be long in the tooth and may go end of
Probably.
life. But
Yeah.
but the deep fusion camera, which is pretty generous considering, like you said, it's got the A15 processor, and I think it's a decent. It really is a decent iPhone for entry level. Somebody who wants just a basic iPhone and get into it. Yeah, you're not going to spend the $150, $200 for those really cheapy Android phones, but if you want to get into the iPhone ecosystem and have a new phone, this is not a bad deal. But it does have a great camera, considering not as good as the iPhone 13, but you definitely get a good value out of it. So they had been also talking about the battery life. Battery life has been a little better than the SE second gen, because I had heard a lot of complaints about the battery life not being so great when it comes to that. But also the article here, I found the insurance on the phone from Allstate. They actually said that they say that the iPhone lives up to its durability. People have done drop tests, face down, back down, side down, and it's survived. So they really, did a good job of really making this iPhone durable. What are you guys' thoughts? I think if anybody were to ask me if they wanted just a good entry level iPhone, I would recommend it.
I wouldn't
Jeff?
hesitate. I think. I'm
Same.
sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
I wouldn't.
Oh, no, it's all you, Guy.
Oh, okay. It's the guy show. The iPhone SE is it's a great little phone. Like, I had the first gen and the second gen, and my wife currently has the second gen, and I have absolutely no complaints about the time that I used it. The screen was good, the reception was good, the camera was good. Now, was it as great as whatever the latest iPhone was at that point? No, but it was also less than half the cost. And even now, as compared to when it first came out, it's got a $30 bump. That's it. A $30 bump from what it was before. And it's a great little phone. And if you don't want to spend $900 to God knows how much on an iPhone 13 Pro Max, but then just go get an iPhone SE. It's a good phone.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yep, Guy nailed it. Wait, hold on. I have to look at you. Okay, the way I can tell you apart is one of you is the good looking one. Okay, got it. Yeah, Guy nailed it. It's a great little phone, and it's a product that a lot of people, I think, forget has a lot of value for Apple outside the United States, because there's a lot of markets where a less expensive iPhone is really important. So yeah, it's a great product, and I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it to someone unless they said they needed the latest, greatest, best cameras that they could get on a smartphone, and then they're going to spend a lot more money.
Yep.
Sure. And then it sounds like, Warren, you would not recommend it.
I would not. I would tell them to go with like a regular 12, which is probably around close to the same price at this point. I've seen it on sale. Or even a mini. Just the screen. The screen is what would bother me, I think, mostly of it. It's compared to the Face ID screens. It's different and better. Right.
A lot of people still like Touch ID.
No, it's not the Touch ID. It's the resolution of the screen.
Screen resolution.
Yeah, the 12 and the 13 use OLED, right? Pretty much at this point.
Yeah.
What's the screen? Mm-hmm. While the SE is still using
LCD
or whatever it is, and that, to me, that it's worth the money, but it's also small, I think, but yeah, I don't know. As we said before, Touch ID is handy in these times, but I think Apple finally got to the point now where Face ID works well in all situations, whether you have a mask or a watch or whatever you need to do for it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible. I wouldn't yell at somebody if they bought it. maybe a little bit.
How
Or at
dare
least talk
you
about them behind their
How
back.
could you buy that?
It's something.
follow them
Guy
down
will
the street?
buy.
Do I know you? Do I even know you?
Guy,
I
when
would
guy,
never.
guy, when you bought that SC, we were the last one you bought. We were kind of laughing behind your back.
I didn't care. It
I
was a
know.
great phone. I loved it.
We know.
That's
okay.
good phone.
It's fine.
All right.
Yeah, they're all fine. It's better than any Android phone you can get. So there you go.
Let's move on to the next topic. This story actually was released today as we record this. Apple is working on a hardware subscription service for iPhones. This is from Mark Gurman from Bloomberg. I think a pretty solid. You can trust what he has to say for a lot of this stuff. And he's saying that Apple is working on a subscription service for iPhone and other hardware products, a move that could make device ownership similar to paying a monthly app fee, according to people with knowledge of the matter. So he's got his insiders. The service would be Apple's biggest push yet into the automatically recurring sales, allowing users to subscribe to hardware for the first time rather than just digital services. But of course, the project's still in development. We're going to be seeing, because I was wondering why. I was looking at the stock today, and the stock went way up today. It's like $174 a share. It was down to $160 last week because the stock market's been tanking lately. So this kind of was the kind of driving this, and of course they show what the iPhone accounts for, and most, which of course is over 50%, 52.5% of Apple sales are from iPhone. Of course, Apple declined to comment on all this, but Jeff, you were talking. You said this earlier. I mean, I think this is kind of a interesting concept. See if they were to actually do this. For someone who wants to just kind of pay for a subscription for a phone and be able to turn it in at a set time instead of buying it like we do now with the trade-in program.
Well, okay, so if you look at what Apple's doing with their iPhone up-to-date trade-in program today,
right.
Surprise, you're already on a subscription plan for your hardware,
Right.
because that's
Exactly.
what that is.
Yep.
The difference here is they would be changing administratively how they handle and process that. And
Right.
And then, as Mark Gurman is claiming, then they would start adding in additional hardware products. So, maybe you get a subscription for Mac Mini or MacBook Pro or whatever. It seems like a reasonable business move, especially for products that people want to always have the latest and greatest. And an iPhone's definitely following that. If you are someone that's in a business where you need to have the latest hardware to be able to do your job well, okay, there's already companies that are doing leasing programs for
Right.
the hardware. So why shouldn't Apple be getting in on that too?
Absolutely. Warren, you're one that would always buy your iPhone outright, right? You don't generally would be on like a trade-in program like I am. What would you think of this type of service if Apple were to offer it?
It comes down to math, right? So we've done this before. We've done the math before on buying outright versus trade-in, and I think it comes out to almost the same at this point. Because usually I could sell my phone for, and Apple's trade-in program has gotten actually more generous than it had been for a lot of products. Actually, I just my Mac when I thought maybe I was going to buy the studio, the Mac Studio, my Mac Mini was actually getting more money than like the online sites on Apple. So they're doing some things there to try to get trade-ins a little bit better too. But yeah, it comes down to math. So like if I could have the latest phone cheaper than I can now by doing this, then sure, why not? I mean, yeah. Is it going to be like a rental car, like, or a car you lease where, you can return it and they're going to like charge you for like, damage, like slightly dings and damages to it. I don't know. Never really been a problem for me with the cases and all that, but, maybe I don't know if, again, it comes down to math. So if it's cheaper, then yeah. And if I could do it for a year, and its monthly price, for the year comes out to be a good price. I wonder, like, if you could just pay outright for the year on a monthly, for the monthly, thing,
Yeah.
and forget about it. So, yeah, I mean, like Jeff said, I don't think it's anything really different than what they're doing now, anyways, with the phones.
Right.
And as far as the hardware goes, um, you know, it comes down to math. If I could sell a MacBook for more than what I would have, and put it towards a new one, and that works out to be enough money, more than I would make going the rental route, then we'll go that way. So knowing Apple, it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be silly, and it's probably going to be geared towards businesses, I'm guessing.
Right. Would this be something you'd explore, Guy?
Probably not. I usually keep my phones for 2 to 3 years. So, I can't see. And plus, honestly, the whole, unless you have a real need to get a new phone every year, to me, it just seems a little wasteful. But
what about a microphone rental program?
No, microphones are life.
No.
Yeah, that's a lifetime commitment.
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple
microphones, that's a whole other story.
It is.
Yeah, Guy,
not the same thing.
Not the same thing at all. Yeah, a program like this doesn't make sense for you because you keep your phone more than a year. And like I was saying earlier, I think the only place a program like this would make sense, fitting in with what Warren saying, run the numbers, is if you have, for whatever reason, the need to upgrade and replace hardware every year. I mean, that's why companies lease their hardware. It's because every 18 months or whatever the cycle is, they're swapping it all out, and it's someone else's problem to deal with what's now the old hardware.
Right. Well, I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, investors liked it because the stock price went way up after this was announced. After this was mentioned in the press, Apple didn't announce anything, but it should be interesting. I'll be intrigued how the plan works. That's the only thing, is we don't know the details, how the plan's going to be, what it's going to cost, how it's going to be implemented, all that fun stuff. So,
well, I mean, this is all coming from an
business or
analyst.
everyone.
So.
Right. Well, yep. It's Mark Gurman. He's got some reliable sources usually, and again, we are talking rumor here, so it's not something that's been officially announced by Apple. So, but we'll see what happens. And I had a couple of tidbits here about CarPlay. I don't talk about CarPlay too often. This one article I found in Make Use Of actually has a cool list of what car manufacturers actually offer Apple CarPlay. Most car manufacturers these days are offering it, and they actually have a pretty long, comprehensive list in here. They're ranking some of the cars like Audi and BMW, of course, and Chevy, Hyundai and Lexus, and not Tesla, Ford, Mercedes-Benz, and others. But there's a whole long list, and actually, I like this little list because it actually tells you if you're ever in the market for a car, if anything, since whatever year one of those manufacturers started installing CarPlay, you can go and do that, and don't buy a car anything older than that particular year. And it looks like on average it's about 2017, 2018 is when most manufacturers these days have it. Do you have it in your car? You have it in your car, right, Guy?
Oh yeah. I mean, when I bought, I have a 2016 Kia Soul, and
Kia's had it since 2014. So
yeah, so my 20, and I would not have bought the car that I bought if it didn't have CarPlay. That was like one of the big things when I turned in my Ford Flex. It was like, I want a small car and it's going to have CarPlay. If it doesn't have CarPlay, don't even try to sell it to me.
Right.
I love CarPlay.
Oh, I do too. And I've been very happy. I've had my car a year since I've had it, and I can't go back now.
Nope.
Jeff,
because car manufacturers do not know
right?
how to make car stereos.
No,
they suck at it.
True. I do not have CarPlay, and I keep talking about replacing the head unit in my Prius with a CarPlay unit. And I have a 2013 Prius, so I don't have that funky flat panel thing that's already in there, which there's like 1 year where that flat panel was in where it didn't have CarPlay, and for those people that just sucks. But I
Go to Crutchfield.
exactly. Go to Crutchfield, pick out the CarPlay head unit that has all the features you want, and then buy the harness kit for your car, so that you don't have to sit there and splice wires together and figure out how to get your steering wheel buttons to keep working and your backup camera to work. Yeah.
If you're driving a 1915 Hudson, don't bother.
No.
Although that would be kind of cool.
That would be.
See something that advanced of many, was that almost 100 years, plus 100 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But Warren, never Tesla. I just don't see Tesla ever adopting CarPlay.
No, that's a major brain surgery on the Tesla to do that. My son's Equinox has it, and I took it in to get an oil change while he's at college, and yeah, it's great. I mean, it's fun. You plug it in, and does things I really like that mine doesn't do, which is it has home. The home app kind of integrates with it, so I could kind of control some home devices like my garage from it, which is great. So, and there's just neat things that pop in here and there that it does. So yeah, I mean, again, Tesla's system's pretty good too. So I mean, it's I'm not crying over it.
Well, they have actually very, very good reasons why.
Yeah, we talked.
They
about
don't
this,
offer CarPlay.
There's limited things you could do with it as far as it goes, because the navigation's so tied into the system. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I really use all the time on my Tesla that CarPlay does on its own is you could look up an address on your phone and then plug it into your CarPlay, and now you have the map up and ready to go on the way out the door, which is great. Tesla has it works with the share too. So if I open up Apple Maps and I put an address in there, you can hit the button. There's a share button. You can share different apps, and you can share it to a Tesla app, and it'll send it to my navigation system. So it's waiting for me there too. So that's kind of what I really liked about CarPlay, and my Tesla sort of does it that way too. So yeah, I mean, I have nothing bad to say about CarPlay. I would, love to have it.
It is great.
Yeah.
And then let's move on to another topic here. Apple actually responded to battery life issues in iOS 15.4. I was shocked. They actually used Twitter, because they are pretty active on Twitter using Apple support, and they actually did respond to somebody who's saying, "Oh, my battery has been draining fast after the install." And then Apple came back and says, "Thanks for reaching out. We'll be happy to help," like they always say. But it's normal for your apps and features to need to adjust up to 48 hours after an update. I have never heard them say that before. But if you have more problems, reach out and we'll see what we can do to help you.
That's always been true. I mean, that's always true. After every update of iOS and even Mac OS, the battery and the processor goes crazy while it indexes. It's always been like that until it finishes the index. So
yeah. What do you think, guys? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because it's got to basically, once you get a major update like that, it's shuffling stuff around, and depending on how many apps you have and whatever other content you may have on your phone, it's going to take a little time, and it's going to use more battery life in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I wanted to give one thing that was discovered since iOS 15.4 has come out, and I did know about this feature, but this is interesting. And Apple has a video on their support page on YouTube, how to scan text into Notes, and it is so cool, the fact that you can just open up the Notes app, press the text scan, and it will just immediately scan all that written text right into the note and convert it. I mean, I think this is probably even more improved than I've ever seen since they added live text as a feature in Notes, and it just makes me want. I already use Notes so much, and I'm sure most of us here do. That I want to use it even more because it's just so convenient and so easy to use with this kind of stuff. Have you tried that, Jeff? I hadn't realized how much they've improved it.
I am not a note user at all. I use it
really?
to test a new feature when Apple announces it, and then never go back. I use Notability instead.
Okay.
So, what I want, and it's probably there, and I just didn't realize it, is handwriting recognition scanning in Notability. So I know I'm totally a Notes app snob, and
it's all right. But what's great is it just tap the camera within a brand new note, scan text, and it's going to give you the option. Guy in the do you use Note? You don't use Notes app? Do you not?
No, I do use Notes app. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know about that feature. I just tried it. That's kind of cool.
It is really cool. So
Yeah.
and it works really well. So I mean, they've pretty much Sherlocked any of these live text apps that were out there. I might as well just delete whatever I have on my iPhone now for one I think I paid for a while back.
There's no way it's going to understand my handwriting. I got to test it. I don't even understand what I wrote. There's no way Apple's going to figure it out.
You must be a doctor.
I must be.
So check out that feature. We have a link in the show notes with that article about this. So got a tip and 2 app updates. This tip here, this is actually how do you get 4 terabytes of iCloud storage using the Apple One bundle? Okay. If you're a power user, you need more data because sometimes families have a lot of data. 2 terabytes may not be enough. I find it hard to believe sometimes, but what you can do is you actually subscribe to the Apple One bundle, which I do, and I believe Warren does as well. A few of us do, and then what you do is you go into the storage plan, and then you add the additional 2 terabytes for another $10 a month. So we'll bring your plan up to $39.94 a month. And then you will have a total of 4 terabytes of data. I don't know if you need that much, but there are families out there that have thousands upon thousands of photos, and it eats up your storage pretty quickly. So, but I think 2 terabytes from my family has been okay. Do you have all you guys have the 2 terabyte plan?
Yes,
as part of your bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
how much do you?
So
you want to? Should we all take a check for how much we're using? So,
I'm about with all the family. It's part of it. I'm probably at about 50%.
Yeah, mine's loading now. My storage verification. See, my phone is like broken with the real version of this, but
the betas.
Yeah, it killed it.
Yeah, it's all that beta. 2 app updates I wanted to mention. VLC, which is a great, awesome media player across all platforms, and the Mac and iOS and iPad OS. They added, and for Apple TV as well, they added a revamped video player, dark mode, and some other new features that also allowing to be able to support NFS and SFTP network shares. You can even go even more with sharing of videos over a network, which is awesome. I mean, I think VLC, being the open source it is, allows you to really do a great thing, and then fix some bugs. But check it out, VLC for iOS, and it's also available for iPad OS and for Apple TV as well. You guys, I assume you guys use that. I think it's a great app. It really is.
Yeah, it's a super handy app.
Yep. And then lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about Shazam. Apple continues to enhance Shazam's features for checking for music. What they've done is they've added an upgrade with new concert and tour info. And what it does is what it includes is the capabilities of being able to look for any tour info and for concerts that are coming up on a particular artist. So you even have that in there. It's called it's actually a new feature. They're calling it the secret sauce. It's in partnership with Bands in Town, a platform like Eventbrite, expressly for discovering live music events. Nothing special you have to do to make it work. It's just simply search for a song if you would, and then Shazam will listen to it, and then you'll see a list of relevant information for tour dates.
As long as it isn't Ticketmaster.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
unfortunately, they're still there. So That was the last tip here, and let's go ahead and wrap things up for this week. That was a great show. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you are notified when we are live streaming on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/DaveG65. You can also watch past shows and listen to past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed, in fact, most of the articles we talked about today are flipped into that, and you can check that out for all the articles that we talked about this past week and many other weeks. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Thanks, Jeff Gamet, for being here. Where can people find you?
Oh, thanks for having me back yet again. People can find me on Twitter and Instagram, JGamet on both. YouTube.com/JGamet for my videos. Here on most Thursday evenings now with you and Warren, and most Tuesday evenings with Chuck Joyner on Mac Voices Live. Brian Chaffin and I, we have teamed back up again, and we have taken over Apple Context Machine and turned it into our own thing. So it's now the Context Machine. So we have a new episode that will be coming out within hours, within a day, soon, very, very soon.
Great. Thanks again. And Guy Cyril, glad you were here. Tell us where everybody can find you.
It was nice to be had. You can find me most weekends. I do the mymac.com podcast with Gaz. Over on the Twitters, you can find me. I am Mac Parrot and VertShark. You can also find all of the odds and all of the vids that I do over on vertshark.com. And if you go on over to the YouTube channel, just look up VertShark and then like, share, subscribe, do all those things that you want to do. What else? I think, there's Guy's Daily Drive, where I drive in a car and talk and record live, which is really weird. But thanks for having me, Dave.
Oh, thanks for being here. And Warren Sklar, thanks for being here. Where can people find you?
You can send me an animated GIF on Twitter if you so desire to do that.
You'll never see it.
I'll never see it.
Right.
Do you even have a Twitter handle at all?
I think
He does.
Yeah, I don't.
If he ever goes into his account, he sees how many times I put. Sure.
Warren, where the hell are you?
W Sklar
doesn't even follow me either.
I don't follow anybody. Once in a while, I'll see a link and somebody puts a Twitter. Somebody will put a Twitter link, and I have a Twitter account so I can see the link, what they're talking about. And then I feel dirty opening up Twitter at the points. But anyhow, it was nice to see Guy and Jeff Underpants again. Not to be confused with the other Jeff this time. So,
and Back to the Future.
In Back to the Future, it's a lot easier when you have one Jeff. By the way.
It is.
It is.
It is. Very much so. All right. Thanks so much. And thanks everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk again soon.
See ya. Salt.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank
you.
So, Warren, I just went to your Twitter account.
Excuse me.
I'm going to follow you because it's like not a commitment, because you're not going to actually be adding anything to my Twitter stream.
I mean, does anybody put anything on there that's like, I don't even understand it. Like, I mean, I don't know.
You've been on Twitter since 2009 and you have 55 tweets.
Yeah.
I'm so have to follow.
I don't even know what to do with it. So, I mean, what do you do with it? You post. So basically, you post things. But
follow me so you can put me over 800 followers. Then I think that's why I need an extra follower.
You can't interact with it, right? If I post something on Twitter, people can retweet what I wrote, but you can't comment on it, can you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Really?
You really haven't used this in a long time. Well, I mean, 614 days ago, you used it to bitch at VRBO.
I think my wife did my wife do that and tag me? I don't even think that was me. doing that. I think she might have.
It's on your account.
Okay,
She
maybe
might have taken your phone and done it.
She might have because she went Karen on somebody in VRB.
No, yeah,
But-
Giants game in 2019.
Yeah. So there's a thing. Maybe it's Instagram. There's a thing on Facebook where it cross posts somewhere, but I think it goes to Instagram or something like that. And I don't know. I never
You
understood
yelled
it.
at somebody named Brian MCC. Look what you made me do.
Who's
Yeah,
Brian?
apparently, spending $18 was distasteful for you.
See, I don't even understand what
Yeah,
it is.
he had one tweet from 2014, then one tweet 4 years later in 2017.
Oh my
And
god!
then
I
2
got
years
So
later,
you're about due for one new
Or a
tweet.
tweet.
Yeah, I'm good with this. I have enough. I can express my mind enough on Facebook, and I don't need somewhere else to go. Oh, look at this crypto waiver. Yeah, none of this interests me. Oh wait, is there nudity? There's a.
is there nudity? On that note, goodbye,
There's a
live stream.
cat.